Hello, saucers.
Hi guys. Gonna get real today.
Because we get fake all the time.
Because most of our shit is not real at all.
We just make it the fuck
If you've ever fact checked any of our episodes or looked up any of our guests, it's all fake.
You bought it. Ha, ha, ha.
But today.
That's on you, not on us.
And that's on you.
So it sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
But today we're being fucking real because I don't know if you saw it and like, yes, this episode's like coming out after the fact, but like not really because this is an ongoing issue that is horrifying. And like, as soon as I knew about it that was happening ahead of time, but like when the pictures came out, okay, sorry, we're literally not describing.
Okay, so this is about, we go like 20 minutes in, they're like, what?
We're not even saying anything.
Haitian migrants and the U.S. Border Patrol.
Yeah, like
the Texas border.
There were these pictures that came out that were horrifying of these immigrants passing the border, but it was in I forget what river it was.
The Rio Grande.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
And these border patrol agents on horses, and at the time it appeared that they were whips. Apparently they weren't whips.
They said that they're reins, but I also was looking. I don't know. Also, what is a whip but a rein that's not connected on one end? Like, honestly,
the way they were having them out, and like the way the people had looked like they were trying to escape in a way, and like cowering, it looked like they were using them in a violent way.
Yes, and they're like up in the air like this, and it's also so families holding their kids wading through the water, like.
And we're gonna get into like what Border Patrol is doing and has done, but like all that is to me is like these men trying to cosplay into these fucking John Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fucking fake. You guys are just cosplaying at the end of the day. Like, this is just a it's like a putting on a character.
It's a twisted fantasy.
A twisted fantasy of you, like, saving the country from the big bad, like, brown and black people that are coming and literally trying to
take over your country that you actually took over from them to begin with.
No, they're literally just trying to escape a horrible situation and have a better life. So.
And all of this, I mean, obviously.
And it's fucking legal, by the way.
Yeah, it's legal.
It's
These
legal.
Agencies, this is like all the agencies and corporations in this country that run this country are structured based on systemic racism. Yes. Everything comes from that. And you can literally try to argue me on that. Honestly, I will trace everything back to this. This is what it's about. Yes, it's a humanitarian crisis. And this is, in this case, it's specifically Haitians, but it's a racist roots of institutions that were started by,
slavery and all this rounding up.
That's where police came from. It was actually slave catchers at first, chasing them down, hunting them down.
And I'm sorry, like, could you, like, we have way more Canadian or not Canadian, but like a white immigrants here, and like especially white people that are coming from. I mean, like mostly white people come from not third world countries, but they're still coming in here.
Way
a lot of them illegally
for them to get in,
and you don't see pictures of them being.
No one's chasing down a Norwegian.
No,
that's just not happening.
Yeah, and like it doesn't take a genius to figure out why, and it's fucking horrible. But
yeah, so the Biden administration flew thousands of Haitians back to Haiti. It was so problematic, so problematic because
bad,
and obviously, so many top Democrats insist that strategy was wrong. Senator Chuck Schumer stated, "We cannot continue these hateful and xenophobic Trump policies that disregard our refugee laws." Also, a big problem with that is that the Haitians that Biden is flying back to Haiti, a lot of them have actually spent a number of years in Mexico and don't even know.
They're not like they haven't lived in Haiti in how many years.
They're not familiar with that country at all right now. And it's just like,
so we're just playing like hot potato with human lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we just don't want to deal with it, or you're afraid of losing a certain base, and that's fucking bullshit.
Yes. And there's so many things where like, yes, it's better to have Biden in office than Trump. Duh. But this idea that it's like this savior, everything's great. No, honestly, politicians at that level, no matter what party you say you stand for, shit is twisted. The reason you're even up there with that much power indicates that you are someone that probably shouldn't have it, to be real. And like,
and we talked about like, you know, we're proud that we have a female vice president, but Kamala has been so fucked on this.
Passive.
Holy shit. That interview, did you hear when she was just like, do not come. Do not come here. It's like, what the fuck country are we?
She's a puppet. Like,
but
honestly.
I'm glad there are like more leftists. I guess I would never define Chuck Schumer as a leftist, but like, I'm glad he's at least, taking our leadership accountable no matter what party you belong to, because this is like, at the end of the day, we need adults in the room that are having conversations based in reality. And like with the last administration, we couldn't do that, but at least we are now.
Exactly. And like, we have to learn to take people for their word and what they're saying, and not let it be clouded by like, oh, but he's a Republican. Oh, but he's a Democrat. I'm not going to listen. If someone's saying some sense, listen.
And our immigration policy was shit with Obama, and it's going to be shit now. It's probably going to be shit for a while because Black and brown people get the shit out of the stick when it comes to our conversations about this all the time.
Always. And so leaders of civil rights organizations, NAACP, sent a letter to Biden condemning the treatment of the Haitians. And then this was a quote from that letter. White and white-presenting men on horseback with lariats are seen chasing, yelling, and cursing at vulnerable Black asylum seekers who have for weeks and months been fleeing toward what they thought was safety. The actions of these Border Patrol officers are disgraceful and show an indifference to the humanity of Black migrants. And the Border Patrol itself, I mean, this is a whole deep dive, but it was founded in 1924. And the thing is, so when agents were recruited from the Texas Rangers and local sheriff's offices, however, the Texas Rangers have, like, it's very well documented, they have close ties and have always had close ties to the KKK. A lot of it's just, they took officers from these other agencies, sheriff's departments and the Texas Rangers, create border control, and it's just this one long continuation of this racist brotherhood, because that's really what these organizations are. And they have been allowed to operate with impunity, like, for 100+ years.
It's like white, again, I can't get this image out of my head. It's literally white supremacists. It might as well be white supremacists at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like such the fulfilling of this twisted supremacist-based fantasy.
Yeah.
Fucking with the most vulnerable people. I don't understand where their empathy, like, how do we not have empathy at this time?
It's because the people who are, and this doesn't go for everybody, because I know some very, very good cops, like, personally. So this isn't like all cops, all Border Patrol, but like, we are talking general here. So just keep that in mind before people get all like, my brother's my cousin's a cop
dad
too.
was, it's like my dad was a cop, but at the end of the day,
the system that they are indoctrinated into is not okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so since its creation in 1924, the U.S. Border Patrol has been steeped in institutional racism and has committed violent acts with near impunity.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah. Oh my God. So there's, when Congress created Border Patrol, many officers came from organizations with a history of racial violence and brutality, including the KKK and the Texas Rangers.
Shocker.
And, a culture of racism within the Border Patrol has persisted throughout history. Repeated reports have surfaced of agents using racial slurs, sexual comments, and other offensive language. And that's just the comments and the language, let alone the actions.
And that's what's reported.
Exactly. Exactly. And various lawsuits and studies have demonstrated the Border Patrol's use of racial profiling and stops within the interior of the United States. Agents have maintained connections actively and out publicly, maintained connections to the white supremacist movement, and the paramilitary SWAT-style Border Patrol tactical unit has been deployed to crack down on protests of police brutality against Black people.
It's fucking insanity.
Yeah.
But there was actually, I saw this today. Did you like last week? Because it's like yes, we have obviously a bunch of racists in our Border Patrol, but like, you have to understand that there's politicians, Democrat, Republican, all over the fucking map that are enabling this behavior.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of what I saw today, of last week. I believe it was last week. There was like 2 school shootings in Texas. And there was supposed to be this press conference with Senator Ted Cruz. We all know him, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. He was literally there. He had a press conference to talk about the school shootings. So he starts off, literally the first few seconds, he's just like, my thoughts and prayers are with the families. It's like, obviously, it's just a really hard time. We hope all the victims, which they were a lot, like just all pull through, which they didn't. But I would like to talk about Biden's horrible border control.
Dear God.
Which is like, he doesn't think Biden is racist enough. It's like, he's coming from the opposite of like Chuck Schumer. Like he just thinks it's like, no, he literally pivoted to talk about the border patrol. So it's like
from a school shooting,
he'd rather talk about this and like enable the behavior that we're talking about right now and enable this dynamic.
God.
And it's like, this is why we're here. It's like because of fucking pieces of shit like him anyway.
Yeah.
But basically, since the Border Patrol's founding nearly 100 years ago, they've become a sprawling and immensely powerful law enforcement agency with a deeply entrenched culture of racism and abuse. Nevertheless, the agency has received ample funding from Congress. I bet Ted Cruz has something to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
And enjoys an extraordinary degree of independence. Revamping the agency will involve fundamentally reshaping how border control agents view themselves in relation to the different communities and groups of people they encounter along the border. From the beginning, the Border Patrol Brotherhood has consistently perpetuated an eternal culture of racism. To maintain whiteness within the ranks, Border Patrol pushed out many officers who had close ties to surrounding Mexican communities. Like,
the Mexican Americans in the Border Patrol literally got, I think I was reading when I was doing this research, it was like pushed out to the point where, because there were a good amount of them at first because they're on the border. So like a lot of Mexican Americans live on the border. Yeah. And so a lot of the patrol officers were Mexican American and literally from the inside out just like kept pushing them out of their positions till there was one guy left. One guy left who was Mexican American, but he was the lightest of the ones that had worked there. So that happened.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And another thing is like, so talking about how people that we flew back to Haiti have not lived there, oftentimes have not lived there for a long time. And the administration is ignoring its own assessment of living conditions in Haiti because, oh my God, we must all I went to Haiti for a summer and helped rebuild houses. And it's like this like white saviorism thing when it's convenient. And then because it's so like impossible the way these people are living there. And I saw it and I built these houses and wells and then I came back to the Hamptons.
Oh, it's so cringy.
Yeah, it's so cringy. But then, and they'll emphasize how brutal life is there. But then when this happens, it's like, oh, we're saving them. We're flying them back to Haiti. The same Haiti that you were just telling me about your summer in Haiti. Okay. Like, who are we?
I can't even. It's so bad.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Katarina Opsar, director of the Women's Refuge Commission, she had this really cool quote. Interesting quote. It is reprehensible that Haitian families seeking safety amidst political violence and devastating earthquake at home are met with anti-Black violence and no real opportunity to seek protection. Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine how vulnerable you must feel. And then like you're passing the river and then like literally that's what you get. And then you have to be sent to a place that you just don't call home.
Yeah. And then to insist that any of this comes from anything other than racism is insane because laughable. If this was happening on the Canadian border,
well,
even if it doesn't,
yeah,
that's
never.
Exactly, it doesn't. But if there was a situation at the Canadian border, there would not be men mounted on horseback. That was another thing. The mounted agents the purpose of having them on horses is only for the areas where it's easier for them to see into like, if there's a lot of like bush and they want to see if there's people in the trees or whatever. A lot of these images and videos that we saw were open expanses of river and then land, like banks that were open. And they were saying it's actually not necessary. The purpose of the horseback agents, border control agents, is for when it's hard to see people. But these people, you could see all of them miles down the river. The banks are clear. Why do you have men on horseback? And they said they're holding the reins and throwing them up in the air to prevent the horses from injuring the people in the river.
No, I'm sorry.
Some
Again,
bullshit.
I can't stress this enough. Border Patrol is literally just racists who love Comic-Con and they want to have a fantasy. They think they're John Wayne because their daddies don't love them.
Yeah, it is true. And like the Border Patrol agents have like I said, they've maintained connections with white supremacist movement, but they've also, in recent years, they've also expressed gratitude towards white supremacist movements and expressed a desire for to collaborate. What the hell? We're like some artists.
Because they help.
You want to collaborate?
Yeah.
You want to like do a song together?
Jump on this track.
You want to jump on this racism together? Like, what the hell? And so, and you know, it's like one thing to look back at, like, people, I hate it when people are like, well, that was 1924 when it started and the Texas Rangers, that was 100 years ago. Okay, well, here we are. In 2018, federal investigators found racist text messages sent by Matthew Bowen, a Border Patrol agent, charged with running down a migrant with a pickup truck. Running him down with a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
The text described migrants in racist terms. Yeah. A lot of them are listed beaners, savages, and subhuman shit.
Love that.
Yeah, that's great. So Bowen's attorney argued that this language was commonplace throughout the Border Patrol's Tuscan sector and part of the agency's culture.
Yeah.
You're correct, sir. But the fact that that is your argument for why he should get away with it is, this is America.
Yeah, I don't think they're biased at all. I think they're doing their job respectfully and honestly, and they're coming with a clear mind and heart.
Yeah, for sure. This is the system isn't broken. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do.
And in 2019, ProPublica exposed a secret Facebook group, which is fascinating, for current and former Border Patrol agents, including Carla Provost, then the highest-ranking official within the agency. The 3-year-old group was called I'm 1015, referencing the Border Patrol code for aliens in custody. The agents joked about the deaths of migrants, throwing burritos at Latino members of Congress visiting a detention facility. And this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez engaging in sexual activity with a detained migrant.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Anything you can think of.
While 4 agents were ultimately fired for their involvement, CBP has done little to address the systemic nature of these issues.
Literally, Facebook groups. And a lot of this came out too with cops. There was like a whole open Facebook group of like ex-cops, retired cops, and I don't know if there were any current ones, but like just like this aggression and this extreme Facebook groups made for it for them to express their hatred and their racism. And that's after they retire from the force. So, you know, they had decades where this racism wasn't being expressed on Facebook. Where is it being expressed?
Facebook needs to fucking die.
Yeah.
Especially after what happened, the whistleblower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that Instagram and Facebook was like down.
Yep.
Anyway, I mean, that's not
I know.
It's not Facebook. So yeah,
the charity nonprofit for this episode is Asylum Seeker Advocacy Project, ASAP. So ASAP sees a future where the United States welcomes individuals fleeing violence. They use technology to connect thousands of asylum seeker members across the country, including isolated areas. They provide critical legal updates to members, along with self-help resources about the U.S. immigration system, and they work alongside members to fight for a United States that welcomes asylum seekers through litigation, press, and policy. So on the site, so you can go to their site, asylumadvocacy.org, and you can donate, and then they keep mentioning members, so you can become a member. And so that's how they connect and create this network. But they have, the site is really interesting. They have a lot of success stories, because that's really what it's the isolation of these people that come here, are looking for asylum, looking for less violent lives, looking for help, and yet have to come here and remain secret.
After this violent earthquake as well, on top of everything.
Yeah, and like have to come here and stay secretive, and it's just this very isolating lifestyle anyway, and that is one of the most mentally detrimental things that you can, you're in a foreign land.
And illegal. Asylum seeking is legal.
But
it doesn't matter, because there'll always be, emotionally stunted men with dads who don't love them, and they're white supremacists, and they need to cosplay as John Wayne and round up Black people.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the SOS Pod. Yes, and okay.
Oh, Mama. Can they see her?
I don't know.
Alyssa's dog is down here like, no, do not move. Oh my God.
Follow us us like mama follows us. And then subscribe to us on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, anywhere you find your podcast. We're there, and rate and review. It helps us reach more people. Yes. Shout out to Steve, Nija, Nancy, because they are our OG patrons, and you can become a patron too. So go on our Patreon, $37.11. You can donate whatever you wish, and we will give you
like
juicy content.
Once per month.
And,
and
all that
actually,
stuff.
2022, it's ramping up. So our OG patrons, we're coming for you. Thank you so much. And it's going to pay off because we have merch, we have bonus content, we have really growing this thing. And $3 is the lowest tier, and that's not per week, that's per month. So it's one coffee.
Not even. That's if you live in our city, that's a quart.
It's like a half a coffee.
That's a half a
cup. It's a half a latte.
That's a shot of espresso.
It's a shot of espresso with no milk.
Yeah, exactly. So we love you guys.
We love you. I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Melissa Rosano.
And here's to turning meltdowns
into magic.